What's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo. It is adfreeshows.com. I am of SEScoops.com and of brassringmedia.com. Little dirt sheet writer right here. Hey, check it out. brassringmedia.com. As a matter of fact, I have a new interview up there with Adriana Mosley, Big Daddy Adriana Mosley. Such a fascinating, really cool person that you can check out on brassringmedia.com. We talked for about 30 minutes. Cover the state of indie wrestling and women's wrestling and how to navigate in today's world when it gets to the modern world of wrestling and women's wrestling in particular. And she gives some insight behind balancing her professional life with the pro wrestling world. How does that all pan out and everything to that effect? And in turn, she talks about she is an expert in psychology. So how does that transition over to pro wrestling, vice versa? We talk video games, we talk music, we talk a lot of cool stuff. So check it out. She's a really fun person. Really happy that I got to interview her. So check it out. Very cool person. Speaking of cool people, let's give some shout outs to some folks in the chat. Triple E says, "What's up? All hail the king of luchadors, double the dirty Dominic Mysterio." That's right. Good move by WWE. Very good move to make Dominic Mysterio the AAA mega champion. You got to ride that wave. This is one of your new brands. Why not put one of your biggest stars as at the forefront of it all? Triple E also adds the dirty sheets, running wild with all the stuff Tony Storm said on the Same Man podcast while partaking in all that tobacco dirt. LOL. I wasn't aware of this, Triple E. So when I saw this earlier and right before I went live, I did a little digging to see what Tony Storm had to say. So we'll talk about that. Thank you for helping out the show. Good day, RNI, says Johnny Disco. I think AAA is quickly becoming my new favorite. How about that? And that's the neat thing about it. That's the neat thing about having AAA. It's a different flavor of ice cream, but still in the ecoscape of WWE, much like NXT was back in 2013. I think WWE is really trying to seek that identity again, that kind of brand again, where it is still a part of your hierarchy when it comes to your shows and programming, but at the same time too, you want it to have a little bit of edge, a little bit of different flavor, and a little bit of things that is not what you're accustomed to seeing, whether that's on Raw or SmackDown. Wrestling Old Ed says, "Good day, RNI. Happy Monday. $250 million budget for WrestleMania 43. Holy cats! Do you think we'll get a hologram? No AEW Hall of Immortals stage celebration. Saudi always wanted the legends after all, right? Who knows, man? It's $250 million. I mean, you look at it. So yeah, the announcement was made after the show aired on Friday. And so didn't get to talk about it. We weren't completely confirmed what this announcement was going to be, but everybody speculated that it was going to be this Saudi deal and everything to that effect. And so, we all have our criticisms and thoughts and everything like that about WrestleMania not being in the United States. And what does this mean for the long-term brand of WWE? Them taking a year away from the United States, from like an ardent fan base where Saudi is paying them huge money, obviously, here to go and do this show and have WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia. Now, and I don't know, and I've said too before that last week that I don't know if this is the best thing for the brand in the long grand scheme of things. But I also have the thought too, in the same process. Boom, it's a business. WWE is there to make money. They're there to answer shareholders. They have confidence that their fan base will stick around. Will it? We'll see. Will that erode after this announcement and then leading up to 2027? 2027 is a long time away if you look at it from a story standpoint, from what they're telling with stories, from who's primarily featured. 2 years away is, it's under 2 years at this point, but there's plenty of time for things to change, things to develop, and things to go on in the world of wrestling. And I don't mean just from the television aspect, I mean from the whole ecoscape of pro wrestling. Where will this, and from the ecoscape of entertainment, streaming obviously becoming more prevalent. People are consuming media in short bursts very differently than what we were back in the Attitude Era. There's a lot of moving factors here. And so a year and a half, give or take, for WrestleMania, right? Um, Hard to pass up that kind of price tag when you get that set to the table and put on the table. And if you're a brand that has confidence in, hey, we can take this money, we can put on a show, we can make something really really big here going on. But again, how will fans feel about it? How will the absence of a WrestleMania in the United States affect the WWE brand overall? You know, is this short term thinking? And because I don't have the answer for you, but I mean, I don't think it's ultimately just from the surface. You taking away your company from your big main point fan base, not good for brand goodwill. You also combine that with ticket sales, high ticket prices, um, and like essentially pricing an audience out of going to your live shows, and then everything to that effect. Your lack of live events going on now, um, and mainly focusing on your big tentpole events, shows, and program. And so you are losing that organic connection. This is leading to something, organic being the term, that you have accrued with your fan base over the years, over the course of time, whether that's been the golden era or whether that's been, the attitude era, ruthless aggression era. Hold on, let me see what my cat's doing. Razor, hey, bud, what do you do? Do you do anything? Hold on, I'm still here, guys. Okay, he was just eating his cat brush. He's okay. All right. Um, but like you factor all that in. So like I said, the organic connection. Well, my connection with that is Whole Foods. I think I've said this before on this show, or at least I've done a daily wrestling hotline on Wrestling Media about this. But I think this even speaks more to the point of the comparisons I can make. If WWE is Whole Foods, TKO is Amazon. Whole Foods was bought out by Amazon in 2017. Now I worked for Whole Foods starting in 2016, January 2016. And so getting in there, I was on the front end, I was a cashier. And getting in there and being a part of the Whole Foods environment before Amazon bought it out, you could see obviously it's a corporation. It's still a big business at this point in time, but there was a very communal aspect, not just with team members, but with the community and what they would do in regards to product that they have. They'd have local product. They'd have a lot of like Pittsburgh area local produce coming in. It was a really, really unique kind of vibe going on. There was a more intimate kind of thing where you had a designer in house that would make all the signage. So, like this really kind of cool, unique, specific to the store identity, and like the team members that were brought in were really approachable, friendly, and a good time. Like, let me tell you, like, I used to go like at Whole Foods. We used to go and party together as team members. Like, we'd go. Somebody would have a house party later on, and so like team members just show up, hang out, party down. You go to work the next day, and it was fun. It was a blast. And it was a great way to connect with people. Now, don't get me wrong, Whole Foods still has that to an extent when it comes to team members and stuff. There's still people that I work with there now that I still get along with from years back and everything to that effect, and they're still there. But once Amazon bought everything, my initial thought was It's not going to change that much. I think it'll be okay. I think people are making too big of a deal about it. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. Things changed quite a bit. A blessing was our pay got boosted, which was great, amazing, like life changing, really much so at the time too. It was life changing for me in a lot of ways, so that was great. Um, but everything else, from brand identity to the connection with customers, the connection with the team members, everything to that effect really shifted away. Everything got sterilized, homogenized. Um, the signage was gone. The graphic designer in house was gone. Um, lots of things changed. Prime shoppers took over, so you have people shopping for people online and really interrupting the in-store operations as they go. It threw a big wrench in the works. Not only that, you combine that with COVID, everything to that effect, things really came into play. I know this is a huge monologue, but I do think there's a lot of similarities and a lot of foreshadowing to WWE and TKO and what their game plan is. They are losing that connection they have with their customers, with their wrestlers, with you name it. Now, money, it's a business. You're going to make money. That's the point. Making money. Wrestling and money, they've always gone hand in hand. That is not going to change. And it shouldn't really change because that's the name of the game. If you can make money, then you're doing it right. You're doing the business right. So it's not necessarily really a criticism in regards, but it is an observation, a potential foreshadowing of maybe what's to come. Well, WWE used a lot of its identity, and for the sake of short term, maybe storytelling and stuff like that, where things aren't as captivating or things like that, for the sake of getting a quick price tag and getting something really quick. Will WWE ultimately price itself out um, by from its customer base to what TKO is doing? Now, there's something with the TKO shares that is going on. I'm not exactly sure what that is. There was a press release that came out. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics released something, so I don't know exactly what that means. I'm too much of a lay person to understand what what that entails and how that will affect business from the aspect. But yes, TKO announces $1 billion in share repurchases, including an $800 million accelerated share repurchase up to 174 million. This is all weird language to me, but announced that it has entered into an accelerated share repurchase agreement to repurchase $8 million of its outstanding Class A common stock. The company also announced it has entered into the. That's all. I'm just reading this as I go. The plan is to repurchase $100 billion sales, reflection of our conviction in the business and the intrinsic value of our stock, says Mark Shapiro, President and COO of TKO. The repurchases, together with the recent 100% increase in our quarterly cash dividend program, reflect our continued commitment to a robust and sustainable capital return program. We remain focused on executing our balanced capital deployment strategy to deliver long-term value to our shareholders. That was a whole bunch of words I did not understand in a lot of ways, but I mean, I look, business and stuff is is going on, it's being made, and you don't want to lose that connection with your fans. I think the NFL is such a huge monster entity, and they have that aspect where everybody tunes into the NFL. People love football. I love football. My Jets suck. Look at, I got this new hat just this weekend. Just this weekend, it's the Gotham City version of the New York Jets hat, and it's a way to make money. Way to make money. This is their alternate uniforms that are not airing or happening until December, I believe. But I was a sucker. I love Batman. I love my New York Jets, even though they're awful. And they sucked yesterday. But I bought the freaking hat. It's about making money. That's what it's all about. That's what it boils down to. And so I can't necessarily really fault WWE for doing it. Everybody's saying like, oh, Vince McMahon cared about his fans, cared about the fan base. And yeah, he had more of a thought process when it comes to addressing making it available for fans, like ticket prices, whatever it may be. Now, Mark Shapiro says that that was an old, ancient kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but way of doing business when it comes to what you're thinking of. And so, Boom, there's the disconnect right there. However, I will say, Vince McMahon, if he was in power right now, he got offered $250 million to bring WrestleMania to Saudi Arabia. No doubt, 100%, he would do it in a heartbeat. Still would do it. So I don't think any change in power or anything like that has anything to do with what is going on. This is money is being made, times are changing, and things are going. So yes, but trying to think what if I want to touch upon anything else when it comes to the Saudi deal here. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have. Seems like they're gonna be planning some big things. Obviously, who could they get out of the woodwork to come and return to wrestling on a show to make this feel unique? Will this in turn make WrestleMania 42 up here in Vegas feel unimportant? Hopefully not. Um, who are you gonna get out? Odds are you're not gonna get John Cena. I don't think John Cena. I think once he's retired, he's retired. I don't know. You can give that price tag to put John Cena back on there because it, in the grand scheme of it all, it makes it feel less important. His retirement is what I'm referring to. So it's tough. It's a tough thing. If I was an operation of WWE, would I have made that deal with Saudi Arabia? Probably not. I probably wouldn't. But I understand why they did it. And, I don't, necessarily fault them. This is the nature of the beast. Nothing would have changed if Vince McMahon was still in power. Nothing. This would have still happened. This would have still happened. Who knows? There could have been even more of a thing going on, But, I think, but again, I'm not somebody that's money on the mind all the time. Look at what I'm doing right now. How much money do you think I'm making doing this stuff? Not a lot, but I do think. So my focus wouldn't be necessarily on that. So would I, But I do think about the long term aspects of things. And so I'll make one more comparison before I move on here. It's like when pro athletes. I'll make a football reference. When pro athletes go away from, say, you play for the New England Patriots, or you have the option to play for the Patriots in the Tom Brady prime era. Let's say that Tom Brady in his prime, you're a receiver. You could go play for the New England Patriots. Hey, there's probably a Super Bowl in your near future if you do that. Or you could take bigger money and go to, say, the Miami Dolphins. So say that happens. Say, oh, I'm a top receiver in the league. I could go play with Tom Brady for the New England Patriots. This is 2005, whatever it may be, and offers on the table. But hey, Miami's offering me a big, big deal. I could take that money, be set, even more so. Would I win a Super Bowl? No, probably not with Miami. Definitely not with Miami. Definitely not with my Jets. But if I were to go for a smaller price tag, maybe play with Tom Brady, I win a Super Bowl. I become a focal point, a person amongst the Patriot legacy. Now, think about how much this pains me to put over the Patriots right now. But put over the Patriots legacy, I'm a part of that. I retire from football. Guess what? I could be a talking head later on. I could go and do stuff part of the Patriots community, live in that existence. There's value after the fact when you move on. And I think doing that in the long-term scheme of things makes you, the talent, prolong your relevancy. The same can be said with what WWE maybe did in regards to this. Will this erode? Are they taking this Miami Dolphins deal over, hey, let's stick with the Patriots and build something here? Hopefully that makes sense. I think it's some fun, interesting comparisons to make. And, I think it's pretty viable in today's world. Again, though, it's like, who has a crystal ball to say what the lay of the land will be in 2027 when the media comes around, when everything comes around? Is WWE going to be able to weather that storm? Will they benefit from how media is consumed by people moving forward in regards to this Saudi deal? Or will this still erode? Will brand identity, customer goodwill, will that all come into play in build up to this WrestleMania? I want to say 27, but obviously it's not. It's 43, but WrestleMania in 2027. It's a fascinating, fascinating time, no doubt about it. And wow, it's just something to really heavily consider moving forward. Um, what else did I want to talk about today? Brock Lesnar showed up on SmackDown. Uh, I really am entertained by Brock Lesnar. Just consistent star. People will weigh in about the controversies surrounding him in regards to being in the law involved with the lawsuit and everything like that. But WWE is definitely has top lawyer team looking at all this stuff. So them bringing him back means they're pretty confident he's not going to be a he's going to be a non-factor in that. And so I think Brock Lesnar is a star, no doubt about it. So to get him in the mix of John Cena's farewell makes sense. Wonder what they'll do after the fact, after WrestlePalooza goes down. Everything to that effect. Where will they place Brock Lesnar? Will they just put him on the table again until, I don't know, geez, Saudi Arabia? I don't know what's going on. Johnny Disco weighs in too on our previous conversation. I don't doubt the Saudi shows would still happen, and I think the backlash against Vince would be worse. Yeah. I just think with the ticket price announcement, the Saudi show announcement feels worse. Sure, I agree with that. Plus, if Vince were still in charge, the show would be worse. 100% it would be. Like, Vince lost his fastball quite a while ago when it came to, I think, and it became like when WWE became the only show in town, basically, Vince played to all his guilty pleasures and his whims and what he thought was successful with fans and inconsistent stuff. So I do think WWE would be worse off. I'm 100% with Johnny Disco. I think people are so quick to be like, oh, Vince wouldn't let this happen. Vince said, no, he would definitely have let this happen. And yeah, the product might have been unwatchable at this point. So, who's going to main event the show on Saturday? Says Dre Owens. Oh my gosh, which one are you talking about? Are you talking about All Out? Or are you talking about WrestlePalooza? All Out. That's a good question. Hangman and Fletcher doesn't seem like a big main event match. I think you're going to send the fan home happy with Cope and Christian taking out FTR. I think that's going to be your big one. Because Hangman and Fletcher, I don't think you can hype it enough right now. I think to Robert's point last week, is saying like how much we like Kyle Fletcher, but I don't think it's like a big headline match. You know what I mean at this juncture. So, Jesse Hyde says, I wonder if John Cena will react to the Saudi WrestleMania news when he wants London WrestleMania. I think John Cena just understands the ecoscape of the business. So I think he'll kind of either probably remain mum on it, or maybe he'll say something after the fact, after his retirement tour is done, or he could even just be open and say what he wants to at the same time. So I guess I give you really a non-answer there, but I don't know. Like, yeah, John Cena's in a very unique position where he doesn't need WWE. Like, and so WWE kind of needs him at this point in certain ways. So, I mean, like, at the same time, too, John Cena is a company man. So, how will he navigate those waters? I think he can play to both sides of the coin and make it something better. But yeah, he wasn't at the Saudi announcement, was he? So, I mean, he's got better things to do. No offense. I mean, it's just he's a movie star. Let's see. Okay, so Steven Chambers says All Out guessing Mox versus Darby because a lot of cleanup, if not the main event. Good point. Good point. Does that feel like a main event match too? None of this feels like main event matches, to be honest. Like the only thing you could really kind of get away with is Cope and Christian, but we already saw them team up already. But this is in Toronto. It's Canada, so I mean, there's a lot of reasons for it to not be that, or it to be Cope and Christian. You know, um, yeah, I don't necessarily think that there's a really standout match to necessarily be the main event for for All Out. I don't think there is something really super duper. Ooh, okay, must got to do that. Got to do that. I don't think there is something like that. But hey, let's talk a little bit about it's fall, right? It's fall. That means, you know, things are going to get a little cooler. You want to still be able to look good during the fall. Uh, you know, I, anytime that you are out and about, summertime, hey, the sleeves are off right now, but soon enough they won't be. The sleeves are off, the shorts are on, but soon enough we are not going to be in that kind of weather. And let me tell you this, you will feel a lot better coming up when it comes to the perfect gene. That's right, fall is here, and you have to be sure that you're looking good on what you're doing. Your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and you got to look good. Well, perfect gene makes you feel good and makes you feel confident too. If wearing jeans feels like a job, fall is about to make that a full-time struggle. Most jeans can't hang. They got you, they fight you going on, cut off circulation the second you win the battle against the button, and give you instant swamp ass the second the sun shows up. Yeah, we're still in like the dog days of summer, maybe a little bit more still. It's kind of cooling down a little bit, but it's pretty hot here today in Pittsburgh. Perfect Jean is here to help end your denim difficulties with the jeans that make getting dressed feel like one of the damn I look good and didn't even try moments. They're made with super soft fabric that makes you say holy SHIT the second you slide them on, and still stylish enough to idiot proof your fall wardrobe so you'll always look put together. No fashion sense needed. Hey, yeah, that fashion sense is built in when you put on a pair of perfect jeans. I'm telling you, my favorite jeans of all time. No joke, no lie, nothing like that. Perfect jean, my pair of perfect jeans, my favorite pair of jeans I've ever owned, and that's a shoe. I can speak to this too. Yesterday, I was getting on my bike. I didn't have my pair of perfect jeans on, and another pair of jeans on. It was a struggle to get on my bike. Like the stretch and comfort, I was like barely toppling over trying to get on my bike. Never an issue when I have the pair of perfect jeans on. I look good bike riding, baby. Let me tell you that much. And so you can look good doing whatever you're doing this fall with the perfect gene. It's finally time to stop crushing your balls and uncomfortable jeans. By going to theperfectgene.nyc, our listeners get 15% off their first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use code rumor15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectgene.nyc with promo code rumor15. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. F your khakis and get the perfect gene. All right. Let's get some feedback here. Oh, yeah, let's talk about Dominic Mysterio winning that AAA title. It's great. It's a great move. Good brand move. Good everything to that effect. To have Dominic Mysterio be your champion, he's such a unique talent, personality, and obviously has that lucha libre connection. Even if he's a heel, it'll be interesting to see once Rey Mysterio gets back too. Can you imagine Rey Mysterio competing for that AAA Mega Championship against his son or something to that effect? My goodness, it speaks to whoever was saying, I can't remember who said that AAA was their new favorite show almost, or it could be their new favorite show. But yeah, I think having Dominic as your champion is great. It's great, and it also gives you that NXT vibe from the 2013s era that people still kind of search for in WWE and want in WWE. So I think that's a good move. I do think too that WrestlePalooza is shaping up to be pretty interesting. We got Drew McIntyre and Cody going down. We got obviously Cena and Brock Lesnar. It feels like a good show. I'm all for it. I'm all for the mixed tag match with CM Punk and AJ Lee going up against Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. I think huge takeaway, something to really keep note on is Becky going to elevate Seth Rollins, and from a standpoint of, I just don't think he hits. I don't think he clicks that well. With Paul Heyman, it seemed like the right move, everything like that. I'm not seeing the creative growth, I think, when it comes to Seth Rollins and what more can be. I think you pair him with somebody he can really identify with, and his wife, Becky Lynch, who is a great personality, who's seriously, she's one of my favorite wrestlers, like from a presentation standpoint, everything to that in today's world. So you connect her with her husband. Hopefully, they can share that chemistry with a worldwide audience. And so I think that's really something to be mindful of as we move forward with this quote unquote power couple here. Same goes for CM Punk and AJ Lee. I mean, AJ Lee has still the ability to speak on the mic, still has that connection with fans and everything to that effect. So I think this feud is very, very fascinating, and I am all for it. Let's take a look at what the preview stands for tonight. WWE Raw preview. See, the thing when I don't have Robert around is I don't send a rundown, so I really just shoot from the hip, and I just do what as I go. I move as I go and shoot from the hip term. Golly. All right. Well, I'm not looking at that one. I'm trying to find a straightforward Raw preview for tonight. Let's see if I can find it here on Sports Illustrated, courtesy of Rich Achino, who I'm friends with. Hello, Rich. I like the websites that do bullet points. Here we go. We got a little something here. We got Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez. Lyra lost to Raquel Rodriguez last week. So how will she fare against Roxanne Perez? Will she break even here? It's interesting to see what how they'll continue to keep Lyra relevant after losing the Intercontinental Championship. What's next for her? I think she's great as a babyface. I think Becky helped her out a lot too, and in turn, she helped herself. So, will we get Bayley showing up here as a heel? She mentioned Lyra several times. I think it's getting to a tipping point. We also have Penta versus Kofi Kingston. Am I? Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm right on this. This is tonight's Raw. I want to make sure. Yeah, 7 hours ago. Okay, we're good. We're good. Oh, and it's from Massachusetts. That's right. It's from Boston. So from Boston, Cena will be in attendance as well. So interesting to see what he has to say. Obviously, we have Dragon Lee versus El Grande Americano. We have Penta versus Kofi Kingston. Look, let me also kind of be like this. W's got to be kind of careful here. It seems like cookie cutting week to week with these matches here. Like you're just interspersing and changing things up just a little bit. Everything kind of still feels the same. Like El Grande Americano, you're getting your weekly dose of WWE Raw in regards to not much is changing. So W has to be cautious of this. I think, when you're in this grand big ecoscape of this universe you created, both from a television presentation standpoint, but actually from your business standpoint, you really have to hone in on the foundation of what works and what doesn't. So to do the same stuff here week in and week out, I would be a little cautious here. You have to kind of change things up. Understand you got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. That's another thing that factors into play, I'm sure. But you have to be mindful of all this coming into play. What a fascinating time to look at wrestling here. It's just like, yeah, maybe the product. I do feel the product overall, wrestling in general right now, across the board, little flat than what we were expecting, when we get build up to WrestleMania, even build up to SummerSlam. But like AEW doesn't feel like a hot, viable product at this moment in time. WWE just feels kind of just like treading water. What do you do to kind of get that interest going, get things? You got to create some variety. You got to think outside the box here a little bit. So what they've been doing week to week on Raw doesn't necessarily look like they're thinking too much outside the box at this juncture and stuff. I think there's a lot more room to grow with this kind of stuff. Absolutely. Dre Owen says Viking versus Dom Mysterio for the AAA title. Think that could main event a Raw? 100% it could. Oh my gosh, yes. I think that would be a great move, actually, to be honest, Dre Owens. We're talking about thinking outside the box. That's a good way to do it. You have Vikingo show up on Raw and in your main event against Dom Mysterio. You have them go back and forth. I think you could almost get away with changing the titles. If you build it up right, like get it back on Vikingo, to have that do it. I think Dom can accrue enough heat on Raw and at the United States crowd to get Vikingo over. I think if you build Vikingo in the right way, whether you pair him with somebody like, I don't want to say I want to think more outside, again, thinking outside the box here, like somebody somebody cool that people really identify and connect with Um, I just can't think of somebody right now, but I'm trying not to think of like Rey Mysterio, or I'm trying not to think of hey Paul Heyman. Obviously, he's a heel, but I mean like somebody you connect him with that makes both guys kind of feel like special. And if you got Dom Mysterio going to it, like in Viking, what about like AJ Styles or somebody like that? Just off the top of my head here, since there's a few going on with that. Wrestling Old Head asks a good question here. Are we inundated with too much access to professional wrestling these days? Does it dilute the experience overall? Back in the 90s, we had to wait for the big events, even a week for TV. I am with you, Wrestling Old Head. I do think we are so oversaturated, and that's not just with pro wrestling, but I do think in the grand scheme of everything is so accessible nowadays, and that means media, that means celebrities, that means wrestlers, athletes, politicians, even tuning. Politicians, maybe not, but a lot across the board. Everything's very accessible, right? And wrestling, if you think about it, now I can't take credit for this. I give credit to Bruce Mitchell from the PW Torch days um, for this thought process that wrestling used to be presented in a dark arena, and the spotlight was on the ring, and the fans were sitting down, and the ring was positioned higher, and wrestlers would be competing. So you'd be looking up at the wrestlers. They'd feel bigger than life. They'd feel mysterious. Uh, you wouldn't get that interaction that you would normally get today's world, where it's like, hey, I could tweet out to Rhea Ripley and she might retweet me. Something could happen. You know, you didn't get that. You barely got, a out of kayfabe person. You wouldn't. So there's that era of mystery that is gone from wrestling. And I think wrestling, though, it's a more highlight for that because it's such a unique genre where people are playing themselves, but they're playing characters at the same time. So that death of kayfabe and certain things like that, and making everything so accessible is very, very different in today's world. So I think you are correct in that, wrestling old head. I think there is certainly some unique things in making yourself more unavailable, and that goes across the board, myself included. I'm on social media way too much than I should be, and I think you know, like there's something is less is more, right? I think that's always simplicity and less is more, and I think there needs to be some of that going on here with, and you know what, I would really consider AEW to try to do some stuff here. This is their opportunity to be very different from WWE programming and how they handle business sales. This is their chance to be that grassroots kind of vibe that All In originally had with Starcast One, with the Young Bucks, with Cody, with Kenny, um, and making it feel that organic. Man, it's going back to the Whole Foods thing. To do that is super important. If I were Tony Khan, I would really, really make a concerted effort to see how much more I can get that identity back. Because right now, WWE is distancing himself out of that. So if you're Tony Khan, this is the time to do it. Get that connection with the fan base again. Get that intimate, special feeling. Simplify things across the board. Get rid of the gory violence. Because you are segmenting yourself from a big part of the audience if you do that. If you make these shifts, you can really take advantage of what WWE is going to be missing out on if they don't be mindful of it. So I think this is a really valuable thing for Tony Khan at this moment in time, too. Ticket prices, I think was mentioned here too. Yeah, the high prices. Dre Owen says it. The high prices that WWE is doing, AEW can take advantage of that. AEW can make this the brand that fans want to connect with again, and really do that. There's a lot going on here. It's such a fascinating time. Let's see. I think there's an interesting discourse. Let me see here though. So Johnny Disco, this is in reference to Inundated. Wrestling Old Head, kind of WCW and WWE had multiple shows a week by the end of the 90s. Access to behind the scenes stuff, yes. So Johnny agrees with that. Wrestling Old Head says Disco, that's true, but most of these B and C shows were recaps, enhancement, talent, and matches. Yes. Johnny Disco says SmackDown and Thunder were lesser shows than Nitro and Raw, but they still felt important to watch. Yes, to an extent they did. Thunder kind of lost its thunder a little bit, if I remember as a kid. Wrestling Audit says, I'm thinking more that if you want to watch any matches and moments from the past, you just need YouTube along with multiple wrestling promotions at your leisure. Correct. And then Wrestling Audit says, Disco 100%. But by then, the internet started becoming more of a thing, and WCW and WWF were making so much money that they had to expand. They got greedy and or recognized the band. Yes. And then they kind of got, and like you think about, once the WCW got bought up by WWE, there was less of an onus with WWE to be like, oh, we got to really focus on making our product competitive, and so we can do what we want because we're the only game in town. And then you in turn don't think about your fan base, you think about what maybe Vince is looking at and what Vince wants. And then Johnny Disco says, I see that is true. We can really pick up and choose what win and watch whenever we want. It's true. We're very spoiled at how easy it is to get matches, even from the indies. Yeah. I think the neat thing was when WWE Network came out, it was really cool to go and catch back up and learn about stuff that I wasn't aware of. Like, I got hooked onto World Class Championship Wrestling. I binge watched all of World Class, like when WWE Network first came out. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. The Von Erichs and the Freebirds, and you'd have Andre the Giant show up, King Kong Bundy's on some dock eating a chicken wing and cutting a promo. It's like, this stuff is great. It was different than what I was used to seeing. And so having that kind of accessibility is very, I think, important. But if you balance it out with, hey, this stuff is all attainable to you in an easy fashion, but then you separate that out, but making some stuff less attainable when it comes to connecting with talent and things like that. Not saying from a ticket price standpoint, I think WWE should really consider going back to their price model. Who knows if that's going to happen? But I'm sure at some point it will. I don't think this is going to last. But I am saying, you want to create that air of mystery about your product. How do you find the balance in today's world doing that? That's the issue. We can talk about this more tomorrow on Rumor and Innuendo. I might fly solo again. Robert is gone for the week, so I might fly solo again. I might try to get a guest on too. So you just stay tuned. But thank you for staying tuned for this episode. You can catch us every Monday through Friday here live on the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, the @WD_Creative_ish X account, on the Ad Free Shows YouTube page, on the SE Scoops X account, on the Oh You Didn't Know YouTube page, and the Rumor and Innuendo YouTube page. But you can also catch us everywhere you go for your podcast stuff. I don't know if I didn't post the episodes from Friday. I'll post those episodes up. So Friday's episode will be up. This episode will be up on your Spotify, on your iTunes, whatever it's called now, Apple Podcasts. But thank you all for tuning in. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And hey, let's go Jets. I need to come up with a better